Coming up next is the sci-fi horror film that is set between the events of Alien and Aliens, the 79 version and the 86 version, and it's a story that concerns a group of young space colonists who, while scavenging a derelict space station, come face to face, and this is such a crazy term, with a Xenomorph, which is a fictional extraterrestrial species that serves as the title antagonist for Aliens and Aliens versus Predator franchises, if that makes any sense for you at home. This film is
the monster.
The monster, pretty much. This film is directed by Fede Álvarez and is the 7th installment in the Alien franchise and serves as a standalone interquel, which I've never heard that phrase before.
Right.
Set between the events of Alien and Aliens. Of course, it stars, and Charles, you know how great I am with names, so you can do the names.
Cailee, Spaeny, it's close because it's Irish, and you never know if that's and then David Jonsson.
From Rye Lane.
Archie, Renaux, Isabela, Merced, Spike Fearn is another one, and Aileen Wu.
So I just didn't want to be responsible for butchering those names.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into Aliens. And I'm going to start first because I'm the novice. Charles will probably have much more something in depth. But I will just say this. Again, you heard me say earlier, not a big sci-fi guy, not a big horror dude. And Aliens going in, I knew that there was going to be some jump scares. And there was a couple of times I was in the chair like this. Oh, damn. But again, no common sense. There's a ship. No, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a ship floating in space, Charles. Why suddenly would a ship that was full of people just be floating in space?
It happens all the time.
Word.
Sure.
Okay, watch this.
Broken down ship.
So watch it. No. With all the people dead on the ship.
They didn't know they was dead before they went there. They did not know.
So Jessica, these space colonists show up because they want to go in and I guess get some gas and some other stuff.
They want to get cryo fluid out of the ship so that they could escape the mining colony that they were on and go live a better a mining planet that had no sunlight.
No.
So they wanted to move away from that planet, and the company. Everybody knows the company if you watch the Alien movies. Denied their ability to leave the planet, so they were going to do it on their own.
So once they got to the planet, Jessica, and they got on the ship and found out that they see one dead body and two dead bodies. Hey, something not right here. Wouldn't that be your cue to get up off that ship and just try to just get as far away as possible? Wouldn't that be the cue normally?
Yeah.
Look, watch this. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But they were going, no. Let us look around. That's my favorite line in the sci-fi movie.
When they had to crawl into the ship in the beginning, at the very beginning, I mean, they literally crawled
into the ship.
Right. Yeah. And then saw a dead body. It was like, nah.
Then saw a dead body and then saw like half the floor eaten out.
Right.
I mean, these are clues. These are like get out clues, right?
Absolutely.
But no, we still persist. So they get in there. Watch this. We get in there and suddenly something feels the heat. I'm assuming it felt the heat of them.
No. He took the cryo fluid out.
Right.
And it's...
when the cryo fluid came out, the room that was cold, because everything was fine when it was cold.
Right.
When it got warm.
Yeah, things started defrosting.
Is that sort of like a metaphor for like when bad stuff happens in the summertime?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Jessica, how many homicides happen where people are out doing crazy stuff in the wintertime?
In the wintertime, it's cold.
People in the house in the wintertime.
Yeah, right.
But as soon as you turn the light on, it get hot outside, like, hey. So suddenly, there's some small aliens that are in the water. And they're like, hey, what's happening?
Okay, this is where I need to help you. They're called face huggers. Everyone knows they're called face huggers.
Are the face huggers aliens?
Yes, they are the aliens.
So, but I use the wrong terminology.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Face huggers are in the water, and suddenly they're trying to grab people's faces, and people are swatting them away. But there's always one person who just doesn't swat fast enough. And the thing that bothers me is that like None of y'all have ever seen an alien movie before that once the thing is on your face, what's the next thing that happens.
No, this happens in between the first movie and the second movie. There was
They didn't watch the first movie with Ripley?
This was like Old Testament, New Testament. They didn't get the scripture yet.
So next thing you know, of course, everybody in the audience knows when the face hugger happens. That like 20 minutes after that, something's coming out your chest.
Something's coming.
And the person whose chest is coming out of is not going to survive.
No, of course not.
So needless to say, this becomes a race because what intensifies this movie is it's not just them fighting to try to stay alive on a ship full of these aliens, but the ship is also floating close to the rings of Saturn, which will destroy the ship in a couple of hours.
It's not Saturn technically, but
They told us in the movie it's the rings of Saturn.
It's the rings. It's not Saturn. It's another place far away. This is
so
like
in this fictional movie.
It's a galaxy far away.
So I can't even invoke Saturn with rings.
No, I mean, it has rings like Saturn.
I told you that Charles Kirkland would come in and I told you. So needless to say, it's a race against time because the ship is going to crash into the rings of some fictional planet while they're trying to stay ahead of would she be the queen alien, or what would we call this alien? Like
alien, just call it alien.
Yeah.
It's coming. No, here's the best part. There's more than one.
Oh yeah. But the coolest scene I thought was the gravity scene.
The gravity scene?
Yeah, where you hit the gravity and suddenly the aliens are motionless and they're like...
Because they don't know how to navigate with no gravity.
And they're getting killed up. But in killing them, you release all of this acid, which you got to try to stay... So that was pretty cool.
That was
pretty cool.
That was cool.
So I say all that to say that's my review, and I'll come back with my grade. But go ahead, Charles. What did you think about Alien?
Fede Álvarez, if you don't know him, he did this other movie called Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2 as a director. And he has this ability to give you these very tense moments without sound. It's kind of like with, A Quiet Place.
Right.
And so... you can't speak, you can't make any noise because he's just perfect in making sure you get the tension that is going on, the fear that is running through the veins of the people who are in that moment. I think he's one of the best directors in doing that kind of stuff in a while. Now he did The Girl in the Spider's Web, which was not very good, but he did those two films, and I'm like, perfect. And so there's a couple scenes in this one, and the acid scene is one of those, because if you notice that there's no sound, she's just floating and trying to get through the acid, and you're like, oh my God, she's gonna die, crawling into the thing with the claustrophobia and the face hugger, getting past the face huggers. So, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie because it took me back to what the first two movies were, Alien and Aliens. And that the suspense and the fear and the not knowing what's going on that people are experiencing, but at the same time, I know what's getting ready to happen to them because I know the lore, and which I think they departed from in the third movie and the subsequent movies in this series. So it was really good to get back to the old feeling of Aliens and Alien with this film, and I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great.
Well, you know what? So let's get to grade time, because here's the funny part. Go ahead. What would you give this movie?
I gave it a B+ because, again, it's very suspenseful. It's very and despite the fact you know what's going to happen to people, he just plays it out in a way that is just creative and suspenseful and taut and tense and fraught. And you mentioned the jump scares. There's jump scares and there's all kind. I mean, yeah, it's great. I think it's good.
I would agree with you. I gave it the same grade.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie for what it was. All right, so I gave the film a B+ too, man. And I would almost say that for all of the films that we reviewed today, it's pretty much, to me, the best one of the weekend, man.
Yeah,
I like Aliens, Romulus. And can't wait to see what Fede, if he comes back and makes another one of these.
Oh, and he's got multiple avenues for sequels of this film.
Absolutely.